Imagine a war scene like this. On one side, there are the most powerful military forces in the world, the United States and Israel. They possess advanced fighter jets, billions of dollars worth of missiles, and the most sophisticated air defense systems on Earth. But the surprising thing is, despite all this immense power, standing against such immense power is a weapon that costs even less than a regular car. And that small, simple weapon is slowly beginning to change the entire equation of modern warfare. Many military analysts are now saying that because of this drone, Iran has developed a new kind of war strategy, one that is not based on brute force, but on strategy and innovation. Instead, the goal is to pressure the opponent through intelligence and economic tactics. When a drone that costs only a few $1,000s has to be stopped with missiles worth millions, it's easy to imagine how dramatically the economics of war can change. And at the center of this entire strategy lies one of Iran's kamikaze drone, also known as a suicide drone. Yes, we are now living in a time when war, global politics, and economic crises are making the future of one of the most unusual weapons, the Shahed 136 kamikaze drone, also known as a suicide drone. Yes, we are now living in a time when war, global politics, and economic crises are making the future of many people's careers uncertain. Although at first glance this drone may seem very simple, it is not something ordinary or insignificant. It doesn't look like a fighter jet or a terrifying missile, but the reality is this small weapon has quietly begun to change the very concept of modern warfare over the past few years. For a long time, people believed that the more advanced and expensive the weapons were, the stronger a force would be on the battlefield. But Shahed 136 seems to completely flip that idea. Just think about it for a moment. The famous American Tomahawk cruise missile costs several $1,000,000. Russia's KH-101 cruise missile is also priced close to millions of dollars. Meanwhile, Iran's domestically developed Fateh 101 ballistic missile can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. However, in the middle of all this, there appears a weapon that costs only a few $1,000s, sometimes even cheaper than an ordinary old car. And that weapon is the Shahed 136 drone. This is where the real secret of this drone's power begins. This drone is often referred to as a kamikaze drone, or it is often called a suicide drone. In military terms, it is also known as loitering munition. This is because, unlike a typical missile that strikes directly, it can stay in the air for a long time, circling and searching for a target, like a hunting bird looking for its prey. Some targets are such that they are not always visible. They appear for a short time and then disappear within seconds. That's why this drone often keeps circling in the sky over the target for a long time, waiting for the perfect moment. And when that moment comes, it suddenly dives down. It dives down and upon impact destroys the target with an explosion, while also destroying itself. Another strange feature of this drone is its sound. When it flies in the sky, the noise of its engine sounds a lot like a scooter. That's why it is sometimes called a flying scooter, because it uses a small two-stroke engine, which works very much like a scooter engine. And that unusual sound often creates fear in people's minds, because when someone hears that sound in the sky, they realize that something is coming. The length of this drone is approximately 3.5 meters, and its wingspan is about 3 meters. The total weight of the drone is only around 220 kilograms. At the front, there is an explosive warhead that can weigh between 30 to 50 kilograms. At the back, there is a propeller that spins and pushes the drone forward. Along with that, the drone uses a simple two-stroke gasoline engine. This engine can produce up to around 50 horsepower and helps the drone fly at speeds of about 200 kilometers per hour. It does not require a separate cooling system. When the drone flies at high speed, the airflow itself cools the engine. It cools it down. To help the drone fly steadily, there is a control fin at the back. The wings have flaps and elevons, which help the drone change direction. These are controlled by small servo motors. In the middle of the drone, there is a small computer, a system that controls the entire flight. It also includes a GPS system, which uses satellites to inform the drone of its position. If the GPS fails for any reason, the drone uses an inertial navigation system instead. The sensors in the system calculate the drone's speed and direction. It keeps it on the correct path. In some cases, this drone can even detect radar signals. If it picks up a radar signal from an air defense system, the drone can automatically attack in that direction. Because if the radar of a defense system is destroyed, the entire system becomes partially blind. This drone is launched into the air using a special launcher truck. There is a launch rail mounted on the truck where the drone is positioned at an angle. Then a small rocket booster attached underneath is activated. That booster quickly lifts the drone into the sky. After that, once the main engine starts, the booster separates on its own. The range of this drone is about 2,000 kilometers, but its real strength lies in the fact that it usually doesn't attack alone. Many drones are often launched into the sky at the same time. Sometimes even more than 100 drones can fly together, however, they do not strike a single location. Instead, they choose different targets. These drones usually do not fly at very high altitudes. They fly close to the ground. Because of this, they often take longer to be detected by radar, and by the time they are detected, it may already be too late. However, technically, these drones can be destroyed. But this is where the biggest problem comes in: cost. While a single drone may cost only a few $1,000s, destroying it often requires a missile that costs hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. For example, Israel's Iron Dome. The Tamir missile used in the Iron Dome system costs far more than this drone, and if the American Patriot missile is used, the cost increases several times over. In simple terms, to destroy a cheap drone, it often requires a weapon that costs several times more. And when hundreds of drones attack at the same time, even advanced defense systems can eventually come under pressure. That's why many military experts believe the Shahed 136 is not just a drone, but a symbol of a new reality in modern warfare, one where multi-million-dollar weapons are being challenged by a small drone that costs only a few $1,000s. Many people may have already heard that the stockpiles of interceptor missiles in Israel and the United States are running low, because while Iran can produce these types of drones quickly and in large numbers, take much more time and are far more expensive to produce. So in the end, it is becoming easier to which direction this conflict might go and what the future may hold. Please subscribe my channel.